Hello, and welcome to the Energy Transition Solutions Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Batir. This is the show where we bring you low-carbon, high-energy stories from the people solving the energy challenges of modern life, such as our partners at ABB, who are enabling companies to rapidly improve energy efficiency and reduce carbon emission with a range of products and solutions tailored for multiple industries. I am here today with Arnold Taddeo, Head of Global Product Management for Drive Products Division at ABB. One of the bigger challenges with the energy transition is the speed at which we can move. Really here, we're talking about the lack of speed with larger companies. And the challenge there is that the larger companies are the ones who are really in control of the supply chains. So speed, agility, adaptability, innovation, that's usually reserved for smaller companies and startups. So how do big suppliers innovate and continue increasing their own sustainability and in turn driving the entire industry into more sustainability? That's what you're going to answer today for us, Arnold.
I'm going to try.
So thank you for being on the show. If you would please share with me and the audience your background and a quick introduction to your part of ABB.
Yeah, first, Joe, thanks a lot for having me on today. A real pleasure to talk about this. So I lead the global product management for the Drive Products Division in ABB. I've been with ABB about 19 years. In that 19 years, I've lived in 3 countries. So my native Canada, spent some time in Helsinki, Finland, and most recently based here in Wisconsin at our beautiful New Berlin facility.
And tell me a little bit more about your part of ABB. What is the part that you're kind of in charge of?
Yeah, maybe I simplify it a little bit. So we basically run the portfolio of products that we offer, and our product is actually quite simple to understand. So if you think about an electric motor, electric motors are a little bit the workhorse of the industry. They run many of the processes that produce the products that we use. They also do more practical things like turning fans that run air in commercial buildings like this, these kind of facilities, and move water for different reasons, personal use, industrial use. Now, currently today, there's about 300 million of these motors out there.
Wow.
And these 300 million motors, they consume about half of the total electricity consumed in the world.
Wow.
And that number will likely double by 2040. So we're going to move to about 600 million motors. And this is quite a lot. Our product is very simple. We make a product that optimizes the performance and the energy consumption of those electric motors. On average, we're able to save about maybe 25% of the motor's electrical consumption and improve the process performance. So it's a big opportunity, let's say, for sustainability, and of course, energy savings and performance gains for the industry.
Yeah. There's 300 million motors today, growing, doubling to 600 million. That's a lot of energy use.
Yeah.
I'm curious there, as we go into this kind of new world with more energy demand, more energy use, how many of those new 300 million motors are going to look the same, or is that a spot where the electric motor we use today, is that going to look the same in 5 years?
Yeah, it's a good question. Of course, we have many advances in electric motors, but the real opportunity, for example, if you look at adoption rates of variable frequency drives, so our product, the adoption rates on those 300 million motors are under 25%.
Wow.
So we have a lot of opportunity with existing install base of motors to improve the efficiency by not even changing the motors. Of course, there are advancements in motor efficiency with new motors coming out that will increase even further. So we're in a good position to, let's say, be at the forefront of this energy transition.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense in terms of how we can see that improvement. And I think there's there's another aspect here that we talk about when we're talking about sustainability and kind of a circular economy.
Yeah.
That's a lot of motors that are in place, and there's a lot of just hardware that exists. And earlier this week, while we've been here, I heard about the repair shop that you all have. This is a roundabout way of asking the question: how many of those motors that are out there currently in use, how many of them can be repaired and put back into use when they break down?
Yeah, so whether it's motor or any other product, now we look at circularity approach. So we went through a process the last few years of looking at the carbon footprint analysis of our products, drives and motors. And this was quite exhaustive exercise, and it took us to really analyze the different phases of the product life cycle, some from cradle to grave, basically. And we learned that at every step along the way, we can make the product more sustainable. So let me just give you some quick examples. Yeah. So we start when the product is designed, so really at the nascent step. Here, we can make decisions about the materials that we use or the material composition of the product itself. So maximizing recyclability. We can also think about things like reliability. You see, the longer the product will be in service, the less often it needs to be replaced, so less waste. We also could think about designing in serviceability, meaning that we can extend that product's life cycle, again, reducing waste. So these are all decisions made when you design the product itself. But next we move to something like logistics and manufacturing. And this is about the distance between production and consumption. And in our biggest markets, we typically have our manufacturing very close to our customers. Like this beautiful facility here in New Berlin, Wisconsin, is an example of being present and delivering products to our American customers. We have similar kind of, let's say, factories in our major markets like India and China and Europe. So being close to the customer also has a direct impact on the carbon footprint of the product.
Yep.
So those are just some examples. And, we can go on, for example, even the kind of packaging material we use to ship that product. Elimination of single-use plastics, reusing the sort of like pallets we ship the equipment on. These are small things that add up and make a difference.
Yep. Yeah, it definitely sounds like it. And as we talked about this facility, the talking about it being this benchmark of what a new facility should look like and how to be sustainable and net zero and be doing something that feels very industrial, building motors, yet still being at the forefront of innovation, I think is very interesting and very important. How do you go about thinking about innovation when you're the size of ABB and as people talk about large oil and gas companies, it's very hard to steer those ships because they're so big. Is it the same with a company like ABB?
It's the same with all big companies. So, but we have little bit things that differentiate us. So first of all, we are a company of innovators. We have a very strong heritage of innovation. Just this year, we celebrated 50 years of the commercialization of the first variable frequency drives done by ABB. Wow. So we have been like pioneering technology leaders in our field of activity for the last 50 years, and we continue to be. Now, we are, of course, like all tech companies, experts in our core technology. But we have learned that there are adjacent technology outside of our core where we can speed up innovation with always the goal of increasing the customer value. So how can we leverage those to deliver value to our customers? You cannot be master of all domains. So you need to find the right innovation partners to help you speed up that innovation and deliver value to the customers. And that's been a little bit the inspiration behind our, let's say, startup collaboration journey. We're really out to find those right partners to work with us.
Yeah, let's go through maybe an example or kind of walk us through that, because you pointed out you're the expert in variable frequency drives, been doing it for 50 years, started variable frequency drives. What are one of those components that you need to pair with that in order to compound the effect and ultimately improve your customers' experience?
Yeah, good question. So, if you look at usability of the products, limiting commissioning and engineering time, getting processes up and running as fast as possible, there are digital technologies, for example. We can talk about AI, we can talk about different forms of automation, but those are sectors that we've really tried to investigate, how we can speed up the commissioning and usage, make the use a little bit better experience for our customers. And there we've had startup challenges that we have run with those very specific parameters. And we've had really amazing companies that we have worked with that brought us really great ideas, and some that we're, really continuing to explore together today.
Yeah. Very interesting. So is that when you talk about that kind of relationship, pairing the software with the hardware, is that the kind of the main way that you see partnerships, or is there some other value out there that maybe is a new idea that you're exploring?
So you use the keyword new idea. So the message we want to send is that we're open to new ideas. Now, we're very active in our startup activities. We, for example, host yearly multiple startup challenges where we have reward money that we put on the table. We commit to proof of concepts for ideas that we like. And we also have a Motion Ventures wing, which invests in the companies that we really think are good potential partners for us. So earlier this year, we announced an important investment in a US-based startup called Moog Robotics. And Moog Robotics is a DC-based startup, and they're really looking at how we can manufacture a product in a different way to maximize circularity. So it's concepts that are a little bit, let's say, new to our industry, but we're really curious about how we can take it forward. So it's just an example when you mention new ideas. It's not limited necessarily to AI or digitalization. We can look at new ideas across all our operations. And we're very open to doing it.
Yeah, that's very innovative, thinking about circularity as part of the bones of a product. Yeah. I'm curious, with that in mind, can you talk about how you can take that or transfer that learning or implement that process into the larger ABB structure?
Yeah, and this is always a little bit the learning for us. So it's a little bit two-way street. So number one, we learn, a little bit about new ideas and how we can potentially integrate them into our processes. Again, with always the goal, are we adding value to our customers, right? But also for the startups, it's important exercise because they learn how to deal with a company like ABB and what's driving our decision making. So it's a little bit like mutual learnings that we're taking. And so let's say our people as well, when they're engaged with these startups, they're operating outside of our normal processes, our normal risk levels, right? Yeah. Our normal speed of looking at things. So it's a different way of working that brings like really positive, let's say, positive on both sides.
Yeah. It jumped out to me two different ways. The way you explained it there is almost like cross-training. So anybody who's ever done any type of sport, you don't just always do those same reps because then you get injured. Yeah. You always want to do some type of cross-training. And it sounds like you're able to put your engineers with these startups to give them almost a cross-training to teach them new ideas and also force them to change their pace a little bit and feel what it's like to maybe do a quick sprint to try and finish a product. Is there, are there other unexpected benefits that you've seen from some of these partnerships or some of these collaborations?
Yeah, I mean, if you talk about for us, for sure, it's a people and culture thing. So, our people really, we have very professional ways to do things. We have processes, structures, we have a certain method of working, which is very successful for us. But it teaches our people, or gives our people rather, the opportunity to explore ideas that maybe are not so wouldn't pass a business case, test, but something that's a little bit higher risk, a little bit, far-fetched. And it enables our people to explore in a way where they have a partner, where they can leverage, knowledge, and they can operate a little bit outside of the normal way. And I think that for us has been, from a people perspective, has been good. But also when our people work together with the startups, you also think about like opening up ideas.
Yeah.
Right. Challenging the way we do things, thinking about things a little bit differently. And that challenge is good for us as a company. So
yeah. From the startup perspective, one of the things that I would imagine, and one thing you pointed out, is that they get to learn how to work with a larger company that could potentially be part of their supply chain, or it could be their end distributor of what they've got.
Yep.
For startups who may be interested in joining one of your challenges, or just interested in working with a larger company like ABB, what are some of those other benefits that aren't on the website when you're applying for one of these startup challenges?
Yeah. So within ABB, we have an entity called Synerleap. Now, Synerleap is a startup accelerator. Its job is to connect startups to ABB and the different divisions within ABB. So part of the value that they bring is coaching for the startups. Letting them understand how to present, their ideas to us in a more efficient way, more aligned with the way we make decisions, more aligned with what values we're looking to drive towards our customers. That coaching is very beneficial for the startups. And of course, when we do these challenges, the startups would not necessarily have found us because they don't necessarily know what value they can bring to a big company like ABB. Right?
Yeah.
And we would not necessarily have found those companies with those ideas had we not had this area where we can come together.
Yeah.
And the startup challenges are a big part of that. So it's a place where we can meet and we can learn how we can help each other.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's a really interesting aspect that you've got there, that you've got the point that typically when you're going to a client or a potential client, you're trying to sell them something. And if you miss that first sales call and you just don't do a good job, usually that's a closed door.
Yep.
But here, what I'm hearing you say is that it's not a closed door. It is almost more an introduction and an exploratory environment to see, well, this is what ABB wants, and let's see how or if you can fit that, and let's work through it and help you learn how to sell, as well as if you're right for us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. Practical example, we're doing now a startup challenge in India. End of October actually is our grand finale, so we're really excited about it. But, we had a hunch, of course, easy hunch to have, that there's a great ecosystem of innovation in India focused around software engineering and AI in particular.
Yeah.
So we wanted to do a challenge to tap into that. And our people were amazed by the number of companies that actually applied, but also of the quality of the submissions. Like, our people were really impressed. And usually for these events, we choose 3 finalists. We shortlist companies, and then we take 3 finalists to the grand finale, and we choose one of them there.
Yeah.
But this field was so good that we expanded the finalists to 7 instead of 3. So it really opened our eyes that in the markets that we serve, where we're active in, there's a world of innovators and, potential there that we can tap into. And that's a little bit the benefit that we see with these startup challenges.
Yeah. Yeah. And does that help you not only from a geographic point, but as far as getting into more markets from like in oil and gas and renewable energy and other markets? Does it help you see what innovation's occurring and how to get further into those markets?
Yeah, sure. Ultimately, it's to deliver value to our customers. So the more value we can deliver, more customers will see value in it, and that translates to business success for sure.
Yeah. So one one aspect that I always see from startups is that they are laser focused on a very specific thing.
Yes.
And sometimes that very specific thing is also market specific. So with your India example, these 7 startups, are they all focused on a problem that is just a India-centric market problem, or is it larger than that?
Much larger than that. So we tap into markets like India because we think there'll be a specialty there. But the problem we're trying to solve, it will benefit all our customers globally.
Very cool. Yeah. And I think that's another benefit that maybe some of these startups aren't aware of, is that even though they are in one centralized location, by working with a potential partner like ABB, now you've opened up yourself to the entire world.
Correct.
Now you're available everywhere.
Correct. Part of the value we're trying to sell to the startups as well. So yes.
Yeah. Very cool. So we've covered all of the benefits for startups and all of the kind of why you look at this and are going forward with these partnerships. I'm curious, are there any challenges that are still there from your perspective that you have with finding these partnerships with startups?
I mean, look, we're relatively new at this. So it's, let's say, initiatives that we have been very active in the last few years, but we're very much learning by doing. So, maybe ask me in a few years and I can give you a little bit more depth in the answer. But really right now we've tried some things that didn't work so well. We've tried others that we're really happy with. And as said, we have invested in companies that we believe in. So we're willing to do it. That aspect's actually very important, the investment part. It shows the startups that we're open to business. We will invest if we think they're the right partner and they have the right idea. And I think for startups, it's important to understand that we're not just, looking at little proof of concepts or having some nice marketing events and startup challenges. We're actually looking to where we can add value to our business, and we will invest if we feel we have the right partner.
Yep. That's a very good point to hit on. Yeah. Just in case you can't answer it, what kind of size of startup or investment or capital size are you looking for in a startup?
So we deal with different kind of startups. If you look, for example, we're involved at even at the nascent level, so at incubators. So recently we had our management team or members of our senior management team visit the Polytechnical Institute in Milan, Italy. And there's an incubator within the Polytechnical Institute called the PolyHub. And it's basically, university students who want to start companies, who have great ideas, and this incubator sort of helps them along. And what we, as trying to be good corporate partners, we try to support these activities. So we went, senior management, listened to these guys. End of the event, everybody was like, yeah, okay, there's some pretty good ideas here. Of course, we talk about nascent startups, right? That's really at the beginning of the idea. But even then, we offered opportunity for them to connect with our experts at our factories to look at how maybe their solutions could help us and provide a little bit of coaching and guidance for them. So we do that kind of stuff at the, sort of starting level. But then, we deal with more advanced companies. A company like Moog that we invested in is a very mature company. So it has a little bit longer time that it's existed. It has solutions that it's provided. It has partners. So we deal with, the whole spectrum from startups to scale-ups. And for us, it's not that we're looking for one type of company to work with. We are looking for the right idea to work with.
Yep. Now, I'm pretty sure I already know the answer, but one of the concerns for startups is that sometimes a larger company, their main goal in purchasing that startup is to reduce competition.
Yeah.
And if that technology that has just been purchased doesn't have a clear fit, it usually gets mothballed.
Yeah.
How does that concern fit into this kind of relationship that you've been describing with ABB?
Yeah, I think this is about really the relationship with the startups. You know, we need to be clear on what's our objective. We need to communicate that clearly to them. Once they understand that, you know, they can start working with us. And those kind of T's and C's, we work out together, and we've been able to do that. You know, we're, again, out for one thing, adding value to our customers and finding the right partners to do it. We're open, transparent, and clear with the companies that that's our objective. So,
yeah, and I think that's the most important point, is that the whole idea of partnerships and collaboration and working together is to ultimately provide a more valuable product in the end for the clients, for the customers, so that we can have overall a better society.
that's right.
Yep. So I think that's a good point to wrap up this part of the conversation. Now I'm going to transition into my final questions. These are the questions that I ask all of my guests.
Great.
The first being, what is a favorite book of yours that you would recommend?
Okay, so good question. Many books. I'm an avid reader, but let's say if I use recency bias, so I read a book recently called Lights Out. It's a story of the rise and fall of General Electric. And there are many lessons within that book about innovation and changing company culture. And, well, yeah, maybe some lessons, and was an interesting read for me. So,
yeah. One quick follow-up on that. The growth and fall, is it related to the size of the company and basically not being able to innovate?
So it's a complex topic, but I mean, the parts that touch innovation was really about how you bring innovation into a company, right? So having clarity of objective, why you're innovating, what's really your objective as a company, and then how do you integrate that into your company culture? How do you make sure that it adds value, right?
Yeah.
And doesn't work against it. So
Yeah.
it's an interesting read. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, it sounds very interesting. I will add that one to the list.
Yeah.
Now, the next question, how do we get to net zero and beyond?
Yeah, that's a good question. Of course, if you look at net zero, there are many aspects to it. So, of course, there is the industrial part. A lot of electrical consumption today is done by major industries. These industries need to get cleaner. Part of our motto at ABB is we help industries to run leaner and cleaner. And what that means is that we help them with solutions that, improve energy efficiency, improve the sustainability of their operations. That, I think, is going to be a big part of getting to net zero.
Very good. Yep.
Yeah.
I think whenever we talk about net zero, heavy industry is always one of the most important topics.
Yeah.
Because there's a reason they're part of the hard to abate sector, because we need their products, but they need lots of energy in order to make their products.
Yes, correct.
So, always a challenge there.
Correct.
So the last question, now you actually get to ask me a question if you want to.
Oh, I do. Okay, interesting. But hey, I know that you're very active in this sustainability world, and working also with big companies and how they're approaching the topic. What have you learned this week at ABB?
I have learned quite a bit. So I got a tour of the mechanical room earlier, all about the geothermal heat pump and chiller system that y'all use for this new facility. And I learned about a lot of the different net zero goals and sustainability targets and initiatives that are being done. And one of the things I think, coming from the technical side, what I found most fascinating was the floor itself. I didn't go on the floor, but hearing about the setup and the workflow design and how that is fully built to streamline the production process, and how that in itself is part of the efficiency gains and part of reducing the carbon footprint of the material and of your end products, which every time a producer can reduce their footprint, that has further reductions for all of their clients. And I think that I think is one of the most valuable parts of thinking about your own carbon footprint and reducing your own carbon footprint, is that once you reduce yours, you're helping everybody who uses your stuff.
Yes.
And that's exciting. So I think that's no individual specific piece that I learned, but I think overall it's just exciting to hear all of the advancements and all of the conscientious decisions that are being made through ABB and the entire company to be a good steward of your products and for your clients.
Yeah, great to hear. Great feedback.
Well, Arnold, thank you again for joining me on the show today. Before we sign off, is there anything else you'd like to say?
Well, hey, as we talked, about our startup initiatives, look out for it on the web. We are quite active over social media. Look out for those challenges. If you're a startup, if you're interested to work with us, please apply. Go through the process. We have great people to handle the engagement, to take you into our universe and into our events. And it would be a pleasure to see all innovators there. So all innovators, welcome to come join us.
All right. Well, Thank you again, Arnold. And thank you, everyone, for joining us on this episode of the Energy Transition Solutions Podcast. If you're enjoying this show, share it with a friend and leave a review telling me what you're enjoying most or what you'd like to hear more of. If you want more news and energy-related stories, we have all sorts of energy-related podcasts on OGGN. You can find them by connecting with us on LinkedIn or visiting the website. Finally, if you have any questions, comments, corrections, or have a story you want to share, send me an email. That email address is joe.batir@oggn.com. And if you don't use email, find me on LinkedIn. Until next time, remember to keep it low carbon and high energy.
Thanks for listening to OGGN, the world's largest and most listened to podcast network for the oil and energy industry. If you like this show, leave us a review and then go to OGGN.com to learn about all our other shows. And don't forget to sign up for our weekly newsletter. This show has been a production of the Oil and Gas Global Network.